There have been counter-terror operations in the past, but this, unlike in the past, was not limited either in scale or scope. Operation Sindoor was also technologically the most robust and expansive. The mission was an air-to-ground operation involving the deployment of the Indian Air Force, the Indian Navy, and the Indian Army. For air, fully equipped Rafale Omni-Role fighter jets of the Indian Air Force operated from deep within Indian territory. These were supported by the Sukhoi 30 MKIs, air dominance fighters, and the Mirage 2000s multi-role fighters. Of course, there was also the mid-air refuelers and the AWACS, the Airborne Command, Control and Early Warning Systems in place. Of course, there were also the unmanned aerial vehicles. As far as the Indian Navy is concerned, it had the P-8Is, the flying frigate up in the sky, scanning multiple targets across the length and breadth of Pakistan. So this was India's multi-domain operation. But let's first talk about India's most potent and the latest weapon of war, the Rafale. The payload, it includes the Mica, the Meteor, beyond visual range air-to-air missiles, the Scalp, extended range cruise missiles. Of course, it's also armed with the Exocet AIM-39 anti-ship missiles, but not in this role, and the precision-guided bombs that it has. It also has the internal 30mm cannon. The weapons that are on board the Rafales, the Scalp cruise missile, also known as the Storm Shadow. These are long-range cruise missiles designed for deep penetration strikes with ranges between 250 to 350 kilometers and more. Now, these are cruise missiles. They are almost hugging the surface, very difficult to detect on any radar. What's also extremely significant, it has two-stage detonation. It penetrates a hardened bunker and then it detonates. That is where it's very critical in destroying vital assets, vital points, bunkers, and in this case, the Subhanallah Masjid and the Markaz at Muridke. So both in Bahawalpur and in Muridke, the Scalps played a critical role. Let me also tell you about this long-range air-launched cruise missile with a range of, in some instances, close to 500 kilometers range. The warhead is a gigantic, a massive 450 kilogram Broch warhead. The launch platform, of course, is the Rafale. Now, the fact about this is the ability to penetrate even the hardened underground bunkers. Stealth features immense. It tremendously has the capability to avoid radar detection. And it's not just the Scalps that we're talking about. We're also talking about the Hammer, which is the highly agile modular munition extended range, as the name suggests. Now, these are bombs that are fired off the Rafale. So that's a kit that's fitted onto the 250 kilograms, 500 kilograms and 1000 kilograms bombs that can be then guided using either GPS or infrared or even a laser designator. Now, these were used against multi-storied buildings. They've been used extensively in the past in Libya, in Syria, and now, of course, in Pakistan. So when we talk about the Hammer guided bomb kit, it can be fitted onto that standard bomb, like I said, between 250 kgs to 500 to up to 1000 kgs. The range extremely critical, between 60 and 70 kilograms. Again, the guidance system is either GPS or infrared imaging or even laser guidance. The launch platform, once again, remains the Rafale. What's extremely critical about the Hammers and the Scalps? During the Galwan standoff with China in 2020, Indian Armed Forces, the Air Force, speeded up the acquisition of the Hammer and the Scalps. High precision, all-weather capability, again stealth features. But what's also an added feature is the ability to correct its trajectory mid-flight. So extremely difficult to detect on a radar and almost impossible to stop when it takes down its target. Let me also now talk about the kamikaze or suicide drones. Completing the strike triad was the loitering munition, also known as the kamikaze drones. These drones hover over the target area, they transmit real-time data, and then they can either strike autonomously or can be detonated via remote control. And you saw them in action in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. These are unmanned combat aerial vehicles used very extensively in Operation Sindoor, developed by the Israel Aerospace Industries, known as the kamikaze or the suicide drones. They have an operational range of about 200 kilometers and can stay in the air for up to 9 hours. And that is why they are known as loitering munition. They can loiter over the target, see the target, acquire it, and then detonate. Launched from a vehicle-mounted device, and that is why these are weapons of choice in operations.